sharpened metal into knife-like shards. She still had a bandage on one arm covering a cut that had come too close to an artery for comfort. About a month had passed since the rogue magician had been defeated in the Taellaneth. An Erith lord thought long dead, but in fact melded with a Surjuzi, a malevolent spirit from another realm. Between them, the Erith and Surjuzi had been powerful, skilled in forbidden magic, leaving a trail of dead behind and gathering support for their hatred of the Erith among disaffected humans. Defeating them had come at a cost. Erith, human, and Shifkin lives had been lost in the rogue's quest for revenge and power. Arrow had held the rogue down in the middle of the Taellaneth's most powerful spells, sent the Surjuzi back to its realm, and been summarily dismissed, the Erith wanting no more to do with her after her oath service to them had been completed. The Shifkin had given her shelter. The building around her that hummed with layers of warding, space enough for an entire cadre of White Guard, and more besides, and all for her personal use, although she spent most of her time in the workspace. Released from the Erith's restrictions, she could use her magic freely for the first time in her life, and even the simplest spells brought their own delight, the course of power running through her, shaping to her will. The weeks spent here had been more than pleasant. No one had tried to kill her. She had her own space. The kin had also provided her with a vehicle to use, and although they gave her work, it was not enough to fill her time. It was a completely new experience to have time for herself, time that was not taken up with chores. Chores that had previously taken days under the Erith's restriction on the use of her magic could now be done in moments. She could clean the entire building, all the crockery and utensils she had used, all her clothing and her person if she wanted to, with a few simple cleansing spells, and for several days had cleaned everything apart from herself every morning and night, just because she could, and taking long, hot showers or long baths filled with scented bubbles, delighting in being clean and having a never-ending supply of hot water. It was strange to be able to do as she pleased, and she was still experimenting, the freedom a heady experience and daunting at the same time. Curiosity often took her out into the city. Despite her Erith heritage, she could pass for human as long as she kept her ears covered and was careful not to let the power show in her eyes. So she explored the human world, visited art galleries and museums, pretended to read human books in cafes whilst listening to the human conversations around her, fascinated by the variety and complexity. As far as she could tell, the human city of Lix continued much as before, most humans ignorant of the threat that had been so narrowly defeated. The weeks that had passed were not long enough for everything to be completely back to normal, of course. Residue of unclean magic clung in places the rogue had used for his spellworking. The Shifkin had learned that they were highly sensitive to the aftermath of unclean magic and Surjuzi impressions on the world. It would not harm them, but they found the traces unpleasant, and some were close to Shifkin territory. Zachary Faraway, the Shifkin Prime, had asked Arrow to come up with a way of cleansing areas that had been tainted, or had battle magic performed on them. It seemed a simple enough task. There were several cleansing spells, some specifically designed to remove Surjuzi taint and cleanse areas where forbidden magic had been used. It should be straightforward to make a potion, but was not, as the shards of pot in the waste bin proved. Arrow was running out of ideas and increasingly frustrated by her failures. She could cleanse each area naturally, but that would take time and would need her to be physically at each site for quite a while with kin escort. The sites were on human land, and the kin did not wish to disturb the humans more than they had to, or raise awkward questions among the human authorities about why the kin had access to an Erith-trained mage. Besides, they had other requests for her too. Having a pre-prepared potion that anyone could use quickly and discreetly would be worth it. If she could get it right. The building's wards flared for a moment, cutting through her thoughts, announcing a visitor. Welcoming the interruption, Arrow made her way to the front door. The newly installed human-made spy camera, an upgrade that the kin were making to all their buildings, showed her a dark vehicle parked at the roadside, and a tall male...